All right, it is Sunday afternoon. We're starting to see this area get really juiced up again. And then further to the east, we've got this complex of storms continuing to push off to the east across Tennessee. It's dropping a lot of heavy rain, too. So a couple of things to look at. First, we want to look at, let's dig into, the Storm Prediction Center here, this new watch. So we've got a severe thunderstorm watch now for Little Rock, all the way down to Pine Bluff, over to Starkville, Tupelo, all the way up to Memphis. This area here is prime, again, for thunderstorms. We're seeing that already starting to show up here on the satellite imagery. You can see this warm sector here. That's where we're going to get the storms popping into the afternoon, and also back to the west across parts of Oklahoma. Storm Prediction Center also watching this area for tornadoes heading into the afternoon, also across parts of North Mississippi. Now, the greatest risk for damaging winds, hail, I think that's the biggest risk here in the North Mississippi, but you got enough circulation, you got enough wind shear into the atmosphere that as these storms pop into the afternoon, some supercells possible, we could get some tornadoes too in this type of environment. Also, the Storm Prediction Center watching parts of West Texas here for some convective activity for the next couple of hours here with supercells, some tornadoes possible here as well. Further to the north and west along this stalled out boundary, we're starting to see those storms explode across central Oklahoma too. And some of these will continue to pulse up. We could see hail in the order of 2 to 3.5 inches. So giant hailstones possible. And this was from earlier before when the Storm Prediction Center was considering that watch here across Arkansas, North Mississippi, which we do have that in effect right now. Again, the main risk area for today, Texas, Oklahoma, also up into parts of Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee. This is the tornado outlook. Let's pop over to the day one convective outlook, which now does include an enhanced area here. That's a 3 out of 5 in that same area where we've got that watch from Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, southern parts of Tennessee, and then across Oklahoma and Texas where the storms are already popping this afternoon. They're growing quickly, so that will be the trend over the next really 3 to 6 hours. Further to the east, the storms are not in North Carolina. They're not really, I don't want to say they're not in South Carolina, but they are definitely across southern South Carolina. The storm threat is across the deep south, and nothing here from Virginia. I would say maybe a few light storms into North Carolina, a few thunderstorms, but it's really to the south. And then into the deep south, we could see some storms across Georgia and to Florida, too, along the east coast here. Your day two outlook, still way to the south. This would be for Monday, and then this would be for Tuesday. So everything across the south. Let's jump back to the central U.S. for your day 2 and your day 3 outlook. So everything kind of moving a little bit. But again, in this live update, we're looking at the explosive growth of these storms over the last couple of hours. I want to back this up through yesterday because if you look back over the last 24 hours, check this out. This is where we were last night. Huge storms exploding across Texas. Those continued through the early morning hours, and we had some big storms going, some heavy rainmakers across Kansas. Look at this incredible complex of storms that we saw early this morning. That's pushing to the east. And again, now we're getting ripe here. We call it air mass recovery. We're seeing that across Oklahoma. We're seeing it here on the southern side of this with a lot of moisture in place. You've got outflow boundaries from this monstrous complex of storms that's going to initiate more storms. And boom, there they go. Look at them firing up already across parts of Oklahoma. I want to zoom in just a little bit closer to watch these because it's really impressive to see how they are just blossoming up this afternoon. There we go. Back it up just a little bit. And boom, look at that. There you go. And here's the thing that I'm noticing with this, a lot of wind shear tier 2. So these storms are being fed at the surface in the upper levels, that wind blowing them away, blowing the exhaust, if you will, away from these storms. So very strong looking here this afternoon. Further to the east, let's go over to Arkansas because we've seen quite a bit of storm activity here. As we look at the infrared, again, this is where we were earlier this morning. What a heck of a storm complex that moved through Missouri into Tennessee, into Kentucky. Just incredible. And now we're seeing these storms train. Hate to say it, but now you've got that flooding risk here that's going to stick around as these storms train, like, moving down a train track. Storms firing up again across Oklahoma into Arkansas today, and we're already seeing that activity start to blossom out here. This will likely develop into some sort of squall line and then drop to the south. So the severe threat really just getting going, and you start to see these explosive features. Boom, there's one across North Mississippi. There's one across Arkansas. Here's some into Oklahoma. And of course, we've got this major squall line north across Arkansas. This activity is going to continue. So let's look at the future radar. Let's take it out in time. Again, these storms will pulse up as we head through the afternoon and evening hours, and then they'll start to really bunch up into clusters. That looks like where we're heading into the evening hours. And look at this huge Boeing complex that could be a nocturnal threat. So we may not be done with the storms through the daytime. These could likely be fueled and head into the overnight hours. So damaging winds possible with these, and some pretty large hail, and an isolated tornado can't be completely ruled out, but the damaging wind threat certainly a major problem. Let's go south, and then we'll push our way east into Arkansas, Mississippi, and further east into Tennessee. Again, not just Oklahoma, but down into Texas too. We've got big storms going at least into the afternoon and evening, and they'll really start to pulse up as we head into the overnight hours. So big hail makers. So Dallas, even into the overnight, we could be woken up by some big storms here. Wind, hail, everything there, and then everything bowing off to the east, weakening as it moves toward Texarkana, but still, they could hold some strength. Further to the east, as promised, let's go into Arkansas. We've talked about these storms that we're looking at now. I'm going to refresh this. Let's pull out the latest run. Yeah, it's initiating okay, so let's see how far we can go out in time. Now we're at the 5 p.m. hour. The time above me is Central Time. These storms will be dropping south towards Little Rock, also dropping, you've got this secondary line that's developing in the warm sector, down toward Hot Springs, east up north towards Memphis, and then across North Mississippi. The HRRR is trying to develop the secondary line out ahead of our main line, which is ongoing right now. I like this idea, not meaning I enjoy it. I think this is what we're going to end up seeing. This gets your storms going here from Hot Springs north up to Memphis. These would be the storms that would impact places like Tupelo, eventually down south into Starkville, and there could be some heavy rain with these, also gusty winds, severe winds too, and some big hail with this as well. And this drops off to the south. Now we're looking at Tuscaloosa. These storms moving in as we head into the overnight, further south into the central Mississippi. And then your front sort of stalls out here, so that gets your threat going as we head into Monday with more storms. There comes the complex through the overnight from Texas, dropping into Louisiana. This could bring more rain into North Mississippi. More like central Mississippi, I guess, but we're talking about clouds and rain here, not as severe as we head into Monday, so at least maybe a little bit quieter. Further to the south and east, let's take you into Tennessee, also Mississippi. We've talked a lot about what's going on back here across Arkansas. Let's look into North Alabama, North Tennessee. Some of these could get strong, especially North Georgia, I should say, southern parts of Tennessee. Some of these in North Georgia could pulse up late tonight into the evening hours. Again, the biggest risk is further to the west, though, from Mississippi back into Arkansas, north into southern Tennessee, back here across Memphis. That, again, is where we have our severe thunderstorm watch that's in effect right now. This was the area that was highlighted earlier, but now that watch does include, again, Tupelo over to Columbus and then back all the way, not including Texarkana. It's just to the east of you guys, but it does include Little Rock, Hot Springs, and then areas all the way down to the Louisiana border. All right, so let's go back to the map and let's continue to push this out in time. Again, once we move into the overnight, these storms will weaken, head to the east, and now we're looking at just some showers the further north you go. So East Tennessee, Southwest Virginia, Western North Carolina, this area has been quite cool recently, so a little more stable here, but some rain could be on the way here. Heavier rain showers to the south with another round of thunderstorms moving through late tonight. These don't look nearly as strong as they're going to be earlier tonight. Once we get into late tonight and early tomorrow morning, Memorial Day morning, got my holiday mixed up. It looks like it's going to get a little rough, and then things push off to the east. Let's take a quick wide look at the country, right? While we're on this, we might as well go ahead and take you through the rest of the week. Hope you're having a great Sunday wherever you are. Otherwise, if you're hoping to get some drier weather, if you're not having a great Sunday, some areas will dry out, some not. The Northeast, I think the trend will be for some drier conditions here as we head into really Monday, but there will likely be a few showers lingering here with that northwest flow. Further to the west, though, the rain is going to stick around in this area. You've got your stalled out frontal boundary. We've talked about the severe weather. And by the way, if you're joining the stream, you can back it up and take it from the beginning. We've covered all the areas we're watching through the overnight. But tomorrow, it's really not going to be moving very much. The weather pattern will change long term. It's just tomorrow we're not going to see a huge change. And by the way, if you're an OG, you're coming over here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. If you're brand new, I'm Travis. Welcome. I used to be a chief meteorologist years ago on TV. So if you're looking for a weather source here on YouTube, I hope you'll consider coming back and subscribing. But let's take you through the next week because this weather pattern is looking interesting, right? By the time we get to Tuesday, we've got cold. I'm going to call it cold for May standards. Cold high pressure settling over the Great Lakes. Some rain showers here. Look what the trend is, though. It's to bring it further to the north. You got kind of an upper low here trying to cut off. This is your upper level flow. Around that low, you're bringing your moisture further to the north with this type of setup. High pressure building in here to the east, though. That's going to dry things out for New England. And a decent ridge in the upper levels across the west, keeping things kind of dry, kind of warm. Although, I think we will see afternoon showers and storms from Montana all the way down into Colorado. Let's keep pushing this out in time. Now we're moving into Tuesday. Rain showers pushing east. So some wet weather moving north into Wisconsin. I think north into Michigan. And it's all going to be really driven by this upper low here. Surface low pressure trying to develop here too. In the upper levels, we're spinning like this. So on the east side of that, enough dynamics to create surface low pressure as you get the rising motion on the east side of your cold pool here, probably a decent jet streak as well. I don't know about severe weather at this point. Maybe something to watch here heading into Wednesday. Either way, the rain chances on the way up from the Great Lakes further to the east. Let's keep pushing this out in time. Let me tell you what I'm looking at and what I do like to see, and I think it's a good sign, some drier and more stable conditions for you from Arkansas back into Oklahoma to Kansas. A little bit of a break here. We could use it, especially after the multiple rounds of severe weather that we've seen and the super heavy rain and all of the flooding. Low pressure spinning around the Great Lakes at this point. In the upper levels, you're low here, so you're starting to see this get vertically stacked as our low cuts off. Boom, there it is. And now it's just stuck spinning around the Great Lakes. We'll call it the upper low of misery. Cool weather here. You may enjoy it. I try not to take sides. To try to be fair and balanced on the weather. In the winter, I don't try to take sides on whether I love snow or not, or whether I like cool weather in late May and early June. Either way, the facts are facts, and it looks like it's going to be cool heading into Thursday and Friday with another shot of some chilly weather, some showers around, and then things get a little bit quieter. I think at this point, although we keep a bit of northwest flow going here, definitely quieter across the central United States, and then we're watching our first, what would be our tropical system of the season, spinning here just south of, I guess the Bay of California at some point, but lifting north. There was some question, does this come inland here to Mexico? I don't know that it does. And then let's take this out even further. Now we're into June. Kind of a summer-like pattern. Looks like it's trying to set up. At least it looks like it's trying to. That's still quite a ways away. Let's wait and see how this pans out. Again, if you're joining the live stream, take it back from the beginning. You can watch it anytime. If you want to check out my latest video, it's not on the live stream, but when it's done, it'll be right in front of my face. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Hope you have a great Sunday. Adios.